D. Jones, and welcome to Conversational Hypnosis, Breaking Through the Critical Factor. And this is video 1 entitled, What Are Limiting Beliefs? You know, limiting beliefs are those beliefs that constrain us in some way. They are firmly held, even though there may be no evidence in our lives to support them. But because we believe these things, they shape our reality. And limiting beliefs are often about ourselves, or more specifically about our self-identity, how we identify ourselves. Limiting beliefs can also be about other people and the world in general. So I want to share with you some limiting beliefs that I've had in my past and how they slowed me down. You know, I used to believe that I was a rather shy, introverted person, and this really showed up for me when I was a kid and when I was playing t-ball. You know, you have a ball, a baseball, and you have it on a tee, and it's stationary, and you swing at it, and believe it or not, sometimes even that wasn't good enough for me to be able to actually hit the ball. Many times I'd hit the post that it was on, but my position when I played outfield was way outfield because I really wasn't that good of a baseball player. And so a lot of kids just couldn't hit that far, and they put me as far out as they could, knowing that nothing would happen out there. Well, that kind of thing, and my lack of participation in the game and my lack of interest in it really pulled me down, and I started to form limiting beliefs about my abilities to do things, my ability to sort of be involved in life, my ability to achieve. And so these things slowed me down. And it can be an incident like that that does it to us, or a lifetime of things like that that slow us down. It all depends on the way we interpret things and our environment. You know, I was walking in a park the other day and I saw, I think it might have been a father playing with his son, and he kept hitting the ball to him, and every time he hit the ball to him, he was trying to teach him how to play baseball effectively in the right way, but every time the kid did something, it was wrong, and the father would point something out, and the kid had his friend with him there also, and the father would point out things that the friend was doing wrong also at the same time. So it was just this constant, never-ending barrage of you're not doing right, you're not doing right, you're not doing right. So sometimes this is what forms our limiting beliefs. So as you think back on your own self, as I'm talking now, you can probably think of a few times when you were told things like this that contributed to your limiting beliefs. We're all different, but in a sense we're all the same. We've all had something like that that's happened to us that's really set us up for not thinking as big or as powerfully about ourselves as possible. So I've done a lot of work on myself with hypnosis, and I hope that you're working on yours as well. You know, there are several different types of limiting beliefs. First of all, the I do/don't. Now, we often define ourselves by what we do or don't do. Saying, for example, I am an office manager, not an artist. That's considered a limiting belief. By defining yourself as one thing, but not another, you set yourself up to limit your possibilities. Now, sometimes this can be good. I'm this and not that, as long as the this is powerful and the that is something I would never want to be, it's something I want to separate myself from, that can be powerful. But if you say you're something and not something else, then how are you going to ever consider the possibility of being that something else, if that's something you want to work on? Another limiting belief is the I don't deserve. You know, somehow we manage to talk ourselves into believing that we don't deserve happiness or success or love or other things that we truly want. And when we believe that we don't deserve something, we don't expect it or seek it out. Also, let's talk about I can't. You know, when you think about that, sometimes we have limiting beliefs that are self-images of what we can or cannot do. Now, if you believe that you can't swim for no other reason than you've never tried it, then you may not actually try. You may not actually attempt doing it. So this is the center of many I can't statements, because it makes you believe that your abilities are fixed and that you can't learn something new. How about I must/mustn't? Must/mustn't. Now, most people are bound by values and laws, if you will, that dictate what we must or must not do. The challenge is that not all of these are completely necessary, and they actually limit us. For example, if you believe that you must clean your house every day, then you spend precious time on that instead of spending it on achieving your goals. Let's talk about why we limit our beliefs. First of all, we have experience. This is one of the biggest reasons that we limit our beliefs, our experiences in life. Something happens in our life and we draw conclusions. We draw our own conclusions. We all do this. In fact, that's how we're designed to operate, to draw conclusions. For example, if we touch a hot stove or burn our fingers, we immediately believe that all stoves will burn us. We learn not to touch any of them, no matter what condition they may be in. So our beliefs develop more quickly based on negative experiences rather than positive ones. And that's really designed to help us, but sometimes it works against us. Also, education. Our beliefs are not formed by experiences alone, but also by education. This includes information we receive from parents, teachers, and peers. However, not all of our teachers are well informed. Think of parents passing on their prejudices to their children. When people we trust tell us something, we often take it at face value and we don't question it. Now, this limits the experiences we have because we're not willing to go beyond what we know. Also, fear. Limiting beliefs are most often based on fear. Our minds hang on to those beliefs that we fear our needs will go unmet if we go against them. So overcoming limiting beliefs is something I'm a big proponent of, and when working with others who hold limiting beliefs, it can be very difficult to help them. Now, hypnosis, of course, relies on a person's ability to accept suggestion, and depending on the limiting belief, the person may reject the suggestion. As a conversational hypnotist, you must be able to help people overcome the limiting belief before they're ready to accept suggestions from you. Now, the good news is that people only cling to their limiting beliefs because they decided or agreed that these are true. That means that it's only a matter of helping them change their mind. So the first step to helping someone overcome these beliefs and to open up to suggestions is to get them to stop identifying with the limiting belief. Now, the reason it's often difficult to let limiting beliefs go is that we identify with those beliefs until they become a part of us. And if our limiting belief is that we aren't good enough, then we identify as being less than in every area of our life. So to help people dissociate themselves from that belief, have them make a list of the times that they were good enough. If we want to get away from that association, have them make a list of the times when they were good enough, when they had those moments when they start to feel a connection with their old belief, and have them pull out their list and review it. Now, the constant reminder is going to help them realize that the belief does not define who they are. So, I also want to talk about the importance of questioning their conclusions. The next step is to help them question their conclusions, because we often form conclusions based on our experience and our education and, of course, our fear, and then we never question those conclusions. In reality, the end result is often more flexible than we might think. If someone believes that they are stuck in their job because that's all they know, challenge that conclusion. They could go back to school. They could get an internship in the field they want to work in. They could ask for more training in their current job to help them advance. They have options, but they just don't realize it yet. So encourage them to test their assumptions. Realize that questioning our conclusions is a good first step to help overcome limiting beliefs, but action is equally important. In fact, without action, you're really not going anywhere. So once you've helped someone question their conclusions, you should help them take the test of their assumptions. And that is to put it into action. If you have them take action, they're going to test those assumptions. Going back to the limiting belief that they're stuck in their job. Suppose that they list the possibility of going to school, but they don't think they can manage school and work. They don't know until they try, do they? So encourage them to attempt a semester and see what happens. Remind them to expect success and to suspend their judgment of themselves and others. How about playing with the what-if scenario, using positive examples? People will often ask, well, what if I fail? You can counter this with, what if you succeed? Link it back to something from their list, something where they were able to break the association from their limiting belief. For example, someone with a limiting belief that they are stuck at work might have a larger limiting belief that they aren't good enough. In that case, point out the other times that they were successful and remind them of their good qualities. Now, once they see that they can go to school and work at the same time, the limiting belief is shattered and they are more open to suggestion. Limiting beliefs are often firmly rooted in the subconscious mind, and they can take some work to overcome. Now, you may have to spend several days or weeks or just some time with them working on that limiting belief. Remember to keep your rapport intact and take your time. So I'd like to share with you a time in my life when I helped someone break through a limiting belief. And this is back when I had my office in Beverly Hills in the Roxbury Medical Building, 90210. It was a wonderful time in my life because I was the only hypnotherapist in the building. Everyone else was a plastic surgeon or something of that level, and I was honored to be in there. I got a lot of wonderful referrals that really helped me build my business quite a bit. But I got a lot of clients who had a lot of really big challenges because I was getting referrals, really high-level referrals from some people, the doctors in the building, who had some very wealthy, very successful clients. And one time I remember I got a referral for a client who had been on the top of his game. He was a producer. Now remember, I was in Beverly Hills, which is in Los Angeles, the home of the film and entertainment business, the capital of that in the world. And so a lot of entertainers live there. So here was a guy who had been a producer. He had been on top of his game for years. And suddenly, it's as if everything had gone downhill and he wasn't pulling it together anymore. His limiting belief was that he was no longer good enough because of his age. He felt that all his success early on happened because he was young and full of energy and could go for it and people liked him more. He felt old. He felt helpless. He felt worthless. He felt that his best work was behind him. And when I worked with him, I helped him get in touch with that former version of himself, if you will. The old him, the powerful him, the one that had his mojo intact. And once he was able to get in touch with that and pull that power into the present, he was able to be successful. So I want to share with you that idea because perhaps you know some people like this who have had this wonderful career and they've been down with the luck. If you're lucky enough to work with someone like that, you have a lot to draw from because they already know how to get there. They already know what it looks like and feels like and is like to be successful. All you have to do is get them back there, and a little bit of explanation helps, also explaining it's not dependent upon age, it's just really dependent upon getting out there. If you don't feel like doing things, you won't do things. And if you don't do things, you won't be successful. It's just logical. So the more you do, the more successful you become. That's what I had to share with him. And of course, we used neuro-linguistic programming, conversational hypnosis, and some regular clinical hypnotherapy. When working with him, I used all of these techniques from all of these branches to help him. Then I was able to get him where he needed to be, and I was able to help him resolve the challenges that he had been facing. So these things are fairly straightforward to do if you know what to look for and you know how to help people, and you can also, more interestingly, use them on yourself to get yourself back where you need to be. I'm Dr. Steve G. Jones, hoping you have an outstanding day.